Hello and welcome to this introduction on how to use the slicer software called CURA, which is the software we use to print and set up our prints for our 3D printers in Maker Lab. And in this introduction we are going to go over more than just the most basic stuff. So if you're only looking into doing the most basic things, you can always check our PDF guide. This is also going to cover the basic things, but we're going to look a bit more into some of the settings. But before we get started, if you haven't already taken the safety course, you need to do that first. And if you already have taken the safety course, you need to have downloaded the program that we use. The program can be found on Ultimaker's own website. And you also need to be assigned the printers or the printer cloud that we use. And to do this, you can go and ask in Maker Lab or send us an email and we'll add you. All right, so let's get started. Once you open CURA, this is how the software or the program is going to appear. So the first thing you want to do is you want to sign into the program. This you do up in the rightmost corner. So click on sign in and sign in. And here you sign in with your created account. And then you go back into the software. And now you should be able to see all the printers that we have available. So by clicking up here on the icon for the printers, you can see our printers. Usually we have 4. Right now one of them is disconnected, but usually we have 4. And here you can choose which of the printers you're going to use. So for an example, if I choose Ava, I can click on that. Then I go here, and this is the filament that's used for the Ava printer. We always have the filament that you use for printing the model itself in extruder number 1. And for extruder number 2, we always have the breakaway support material. And that I will talk more about in a minute. So by clicking this tab, you can choose the filament that the printer is going to use. So you always do that to begin with. If you don't want to print with white filament, but want to use black for an example, you can go back and choose one of the other printers and check if one of those have the black filament. But if you're happy with the white filament, you just click on this tab, and now the printer and the software is set up for the correct filament for this printer. Otherwise you're going to have an error. Alright, so now we're ready to import our file or the model that we're going to use. So to do that, I'm going to go up to File, Open Files from Disk, and then I can browse around to find my file, or I can just go to the file that I have on my computer and drag and drop. So this is the model that I'm going to print, and in order to look around the model, I can use the right button to orbit the model. I can hold down Shift and use the left to pan up and down. And I can use the scroll wheel in the middle to zoom in and out. So the first thing I want to do to prepare my setup is I want to orient the print or the model that I'm printing. So to do this, I just click on the print. Then I can use this tool to move it around. In general, you want, in order to increase speed of the printing time, you want it to be on the upper right corner, so right next to the Ultimaker logo. And then you can rotate the model with this tool. So right now I'm not using the snap rotation toggle. If I use this, I'm able to rotate it in increments. So if I want to rotate it exactly 90 degrees, this helps a lot. And I actually do want to rotate it 90 degrees for this print. And the reason why is that when you print your model, you're going to have more strength going along the layers. So the printer is going to print one layer at a time. And the print is going to be strongest in the layer direction. So if I were to pull on this from the bottom and the top of the print direction, it's going to break. But if I pull it on each side, it's going to be much stronger. So by doing this, I can be assured that the print is going to be a lot stronger. So this is how I'm going to orient my print. If I really wanted to fine-tune it, I could not have this snap rotation toggled on, and then I can do fine increments, but usually it's better just to have it on all the time. Alright, so before going into the exact settings that we're going to use, I'm going to briefly explain about this support material that's used on the extruder number 2. So on our model here, we have some parts that kind of float in the air. So if we look at areas like around here and down here, you can also see if I turn this model around, you can see it's gonna be highlighted with red areas, and this is because the software knows that these parts are gonna be quite hard to print for the printer. So in order to be able to print these parts, it's gonna print some plastic underneath that kind of builds kind of like a stair up to the red areas, and then the printer is gonna be able to print on top of this extra layer of material. So knowing this, we are ready to play a bit around with the settings of the print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this tab right here. We already covered some of the most basic stuff in our tutorial, which is found on our website. So for this tutorial, we are going to click on the custom and the basic tab to have a little bit more wiggle room to play around with the settings. So the first thing we're going to look at is the layer height. And the layer height is basically the height of each of the layers that's going to be printed. So for an example, if we toggle this down all the way to 0.1 millimeter, then each layer is going to be 0.1 millimeter. And we can see how this looks if we push on slice and preview. Then we can see these are quite fine layers. It's actually going to print a total of 339 layers. And this is going to take 1 hour and 38 minutes. So this is quite a long time. And most of the time it's unnecessary to have such small layers. So for an example, if we set the setting to 0.3, click once again on slice, then we can now see that it's going to take 37 minutes and it's only going to be 113 layers in total. And usually 0.2 millimeters is a good starting point. It's also stronger than 0.1 and 0.3 millimeters. So if you're looking for strength in your component, 0.2 is a good choice. So the next thing we're going to look at is the walls. So the walls is basically when you look into your model, you can see that if we toggle this down a bit and look inside the model, you can see in this example there is the green and the red wall, so you have 2 walls on each side. So one of the ways to make your print stronger is to increase the wall count. So instead of 2, we could say that it should print 4 walls on each side. Again, we can click on slice. Here you see again the time has gone up quite a bit, but now you can see you have the whole wall in here is going to be filled with material. So this will be quite a strong part. You still have some areas over here that's not filled completely. Yeah, but this is a quite strong part, and most of the time it's also unnecessary. It's also gonna weigh more, so cost more material to print this. So the next thing is the infill. So the infill is all the parts, the inside parts of your model, how much volume is going to be filled with plastic. So right now it can be quite hard to see. If we decrease the wall line count to 1 and hit slice, then we can see that in the area around here there is quite a lot of empty space in the model, and this is because that right now the infill density is set to 10%, so only 10% of the model is actually going to be filled. So here you can change these settings if you want more strength in your print. We could set this to 60%, like so, like so. And we can also change the pattern inside. So right now it's set to triangles. It could also be cross, zigzag. Let's try something like octet. And you can hit slice. And now you can see that about 60% is going to be filled with plastic in these empty spaces. And this is going to make a lot stronger model. Then we have the material settings. In general, you should not play around with these settings. The reason why is that we have Ultimaker's own material. So Ultimaker makes the material to suit exactly the settings of their printers. So if you start toggling around with these settings, you're probably gonna have a print that's gonna fail. So just skip this setting. And the same goes for the speed. This is also adjusted by the print itself. Then we have travel. So you should always enable these settings. This is so that that when the print head moves around, it's not gonna knock over your model. So just keep these settings toggled on. Cooling, we also don't wanna play around with. And then we have the support material. So as I said before, support material is the stuff that that makes sure that you're going to be able to print all the parts that floats midair. So all the blue plastic material is going to be the support material. And this in general you want to have on. If you don't have any parts that floats midair, the printer is just gonna not use the support material. So you can always have it toggled on, and if you don't have any parts that need support, then it's not gonna print that support. But when you have toggled it on, you always want to use extruded 2, since this is again where we have our support material. And then support placement in general, you want it to be everywhere. If you have parts parts like these, this is a hole for a screw, and you want this to be empty without any support, you can always remove the support afterwards. But if you think that it's going to be hard to remove the support, you can click on touching build plate. Then it's only the support that's directly above the build plate that is going to be added. So now you can see there's no support in the screw hole, and that can be quite nice to have this setting available. Another way to avoid support in this hole is by support blocker. So if I toggle it back on with support everywhere, then I can use the tool over here that's called support blocker. So if I use this and go into the prepare tab, I can click on all the places where I don't want any support to be added. So that would be the screw hole, and I also might not want support in here. So we do it like this. And you can always delete these boxes, and you can also with the move tool move them around if you put a box somewhere that it wasn't supposed to be. If I want a little bit higher or a little bit lower, I could do that. And again we can hit slice and preview, and now we don't have the support here again. Then we also have the support overhang angle, which is the one that you see here. Right now it has been set to 60 degrees, so it's going to support all the angles that are 60 degrees and above. If we look at our model, we have this curve going around here. So right now it doesn't add any support here, since this is under 60 degrees. So for an example, if we changed it to, let's say, 85 degrees, so you see this this retracted a bit. And on the other hand, if we set it to something like 5 degrees, we're gonna have quite a lot support. So right now you can see it goes all the way up to here. In general, I would say try and keep it around 67, 66 degrees and below. Otherwise it's gonna mess with your model. So don't go above 67. Then we have build plate adhesion, and this basically is the blue stuff you see around your model. So this makes sure that the model sticks to the build plate. So you always want to have this on. You can see the different structures here. So never have it on none. Always have it on one of these. And it's also a good thing to have this toggle on. This just primes the nozzle, so it kind of prints a small little piece of plastic out on the side, just to make sure that the plastic is ready and good to go. So now we have set up our model. I'm quite happy with these settings. I could go back and toggle some of the settings if I wanted a bit smoother surface, or if I wanted the print time to be faster. But right now I'm satisfied with my print, so I just hit the print via cloud, and then about 30 minutes later I can go and pick the print up in Maker Lab. If you have any questions, feel free to come by Maker Lab and we'll be more than happy to help you with your print.